My name is Andrew. I'm 26 years old and work for a major pharmaceutical company. As a medical representative, I visit hospitals every day, and it's exhausting. I graduated from Faculty of Pharmacy, but somehow I didn't feel like being a pharmacist was right for me. I can't stand being in the same place all the time, so I thought it would be better to work outside the office. Being an MR is a decently paying job, and I can fully utilize my knowledge of pharmacy. I have a senior colleague who chose to be an MR instead of a pharmacist, and he seemed to enjoy it. Tentatively, I passed the national pharmacy exam, but I chose the path of an MR. Both of my parents work in the medical field. So, I was somewhat interested in medical too, but I wasn't smart enough to pass the medical school entrance exams, so I gave up. Well, I have a brilliant older brother called Tom, so I thought, well, it's alright, and didn't worry too much. My dad was a doctor at the university hospital, but later he opened his own practice. It's a pediatric clinic. So, I thought Tom would take over. My mom has always been a nurse at the university hospital. Apparently, my parents met in the university. My dad graduated from the medical school, and my mom from the nursing school. They got along in the same club. As for me, I didn't have a girlfriend during the university time. In fact, I've never had a girlfriend in my life. Actually, there was a girl I liked in high school, but I was completely rejected when I confessed. Since then, I've become shy and unable to even speak to women. And now, I'm too busy with work and no time to think about having a girlfriend. Tom, who is 4 years older, just got married, and he looked very happy, and my sister-in-law, Beth, was smiling too. Beth is also a nurse. By the way, Tom works at our father's clinic. Well, just as I thought, Tom took over, so our father must be relieved. Oh man, I wish I had a girlfriend too. But I'm too busy with work to even think about dating. What should I do? Will I end up never having a girlfriend or getting married? I was thinking to myself. Just then, I got a message from my classmate Jason. We've been friends since middle school, and he's currently working in international finance. He's always seemed a bit snobby, but he invited me to a party, so I decided to go. Soon, we're having a party with some cute girls. You should come too. Well, you don't seem like you earn much money. So they might not be interested in you. It's not that I don't earn good money, but yeah, it's probably less compared to someone working in international finance. Alright, I'll come. When's the party? I know it's short notice, but this Saturday. One of the guys can't make it, so you're just making up the numbers. But come anyway. What a way to put it. That really annoys me. I thought. Okay. Then send me the time and the location by text. Yeah, I'll send it later. See ya. And so, I headed to the party on Saturday. The stylish bar they picked looked kind of pricey. It seemed more like a small diner than a bar. It was an upscale place where I had been once for a business dinner. When I entered, there were already 3 ladies, Jason and another man I didn't know. According to Jason, this man also works in international finance. After ordering some drinks and food, we introduced ourselves. One of the ladies was exactly my type, very classy. My name is Summer, and I'm a nurse. Nice to meet you. Wow, a nurse? No wonder you seem so kind. Summer, you're totally my type. Hey, give me a shot too. Please, can you? Well. Ooh, what's with this guy? He's creepy. Summer looks uncomfortable. What a weirdo. I thought. Despite Summer clearly being uncomfortable, Jason and another guy, Michael, kept making inappropriate comments to her. To other ladies, they acted the same ways. Surely, they must have come off as creepy to everyone there. Then, Jason started bragging about himself. I'm Jason. I work at Silverman Sachs, a foreign financial firm. My annual income is over $100,000. Well, that's to be expected. I'm a capable guy. You know. I even graduated from a pretty good university. Oh, you want to know? Well, it's S University, you know it, right? It's a famous private university. I had good grades there too. And right now, I'm really into futsal. Plus, I've been playing basketball since middle school. I may not look it, but I'm a sportsman, so I'm a gentleman. And for hobbies, I'd say reading. A capable man starts his day early, right? I wake up early and read self-improvement books and business books. Yeah, I'm a bookworm. Geez, it's too long. The girls don't care at all. There are no good people who like self-help. Really annoying. I thought. Jason's introduction was excessively long, and he continued to talk about unasked things. Michael, the other guy, was also boastfully talking about himself. Apparently, he takes pride in having graduated from the prestigious H University. From my perspective, these guys ignoring the girls and just talking among themselves seemed utterly foolish. My name's Andrew, and I work as an MR at a pharmaceutical company. Well, it's a sales job. Nice to meet you. This guy here, his father and brother are doctors, but he couldn't make it as one. Probably because he wasn't smart enough. Excuse me? You studied at Faculty of Pharmacy because you had no choice, right? And even then, not being a pharmacist is kinda a loser. Pathetic, right? Being a pharmacist is like a woman's job anyway. Men in Faculty of Pharmacy are losers. I think MR suits me better, and I wanted to do it. I don't need you to say such rude things. Making excuses won't help. Anyway, you won't get any attention from the girls. You can't compete with me. Isn't that right, Michael? Jason and Michael were laughing, but the girls looked at them coldly. Summer was being hit on by Jason but clearly rejected him. I'm sorry, but I don't want to exchange contacts with you, Jason. Why not? Won't you text me and date me? I will send lovey-dovey messages every day and want to talk to you on the phone too. Come on, why not? I'm sad. Do you enjoy belittling people like this? You're really the worst. I don't want to be close to someone like you, Jason. Hearing you talk badly about Andrew made me feel sick. What? What's wrong with me? I'm an elite working in international finance. If we were together, I could buy you anything you want. Look. Necklaces or earrings that would suit you, Summer, anything really. I'm allergic to metal, so no thank you. Then, I'll treat you to some good food. How about that? Or maybe you'd like a Channel bag? I think it would suit you. I prefer to eat what I want on my own, and I'm not interested in high-end brands like Channel, sorry. I don't want it. What? Not cute at all. Fine, I'm leaving. Come on, Michael, let's go. Jason left in anger. Michael followed him, leaving the rest of us behind. I decided to just have a good time with everyone and ended up getting completely drunk. Eventually, Rachel, a kindergarten teacher, and Lisa, a secretary, went off to a bar together, leaving me and Summer alone. Or rather, I was so drunk I couldn't handle myself, so Summer took care of me. She took me to a park and sat me on a bench. If you feel sick, it might be better to throw up once. I'll wait outside the restroom, so knock loudly on the door if you need anything. No, it's okay. The nausea has gone. That's good. Then let's drink some water. It's easy to get dehydrated after drinking alcohol. There's a vending machine over there. So I'll go buy some. Oh, sorry about this. Summer, wearing low-heeled pumps, jogged to the vending machine and came back with a bottle of water for me, opening the cap. Here, make sure you drink this. Let's stay here a little until the alcohol wears off. It's a bit chilly, but the breeze is nice. Yeah, that's true. I'm fine, but how about you, Summer? Are you okay with the time? Do you have work or anything tomorrow? Yes, I live alone and my shift starts in the evening tomorrow, so it's fine. Thank you for your concern. I see, sorry for keeping you until late. I guess I got carried away with the drinking. No, I had fun thanks to you trying to liven up the atmosphere at that time. But I should have cautioned you about drinking too much. Look. Getting taken to the hospital for acute alcohol poisoning would be serious. Yeah. At the company's welcome party for new employees, I was also pressured to drink a lot. That kind of thing is banned now. Yes, it used to be tough back in the day. Some men would go to the bathroom but couldn't pee. It happens more often to men. Be careful. It can be really painful. I really appreciated how thoughtful she was as a nurse. Nurses probably have a tough time during the season of welcome parties for new employees or university farewell parties. Getting so rowdy that you can't even pee when you go to the bathroom would be the worst, so I decided to be more careful. If only that, it's fine, but it would be even worse if I fell and hit my head. I have to be careful of over-drinking. From now on, I need to make sure I don't get too carried away. After that, I started meeting Summer occasionally. Since she helped me out at that time, I wanted to treat her to a meal, and we've been on several dates since then. Summer always enjoys her food so much, so it's my pleasure to invite her out. I really enjoyed our date today. That restaurant was fantastic, with the ocean view and all. It was really refreshing. How did you find such a place? Yeah, Summer, you said you liked the ocean, so I looked it up online. It was featured in a blog post, and I thought it looked great, so I booked it. Hey! How about we go on a date to the aquarium next time? You like animals, right? Yes, I love beluga whales and penguins. Let's go next time. I haven't been to an aquarium in ages. I've been a bit busy. Then the next date, we will go to the aquarium. Looking forward to it. We were already in a relationship after confessing to each other. But it wasn't serious yet, just a casual boyfriend-girlfriend thing. Thinking about Summer, I started to find myself wanting to be with her forever. How happy would I be if Summer were not just my girlfriend, but my wife? I even thought about sending a bragging email back to Tom, who occasionally sends me one about his blissful married life. Tom isn't a bad guy, but his love for his wife really shows. I think his wife is lucky to be so loved, and I'm jealous of the elaborate meals she cooks for him every day. Oh, I also want to get married and be even happier and happier. Our parents think I've always been single and probably won't ever get married. But I also want a normal life with a family of my own. I wanted my parents and brother to be relieved. 3 months later, Summer's birthday came. The season was already summer. Born in the summer, hence her name is Summer. When we met at the party in April, it was a bit chilly, but now it's summer, so it's really muggy. Today, I went out to meet Summer at the Alamo Cube for our date. Summer was wearing a floral dress with white pumps. For now, we were heading to a 3-star restaurant. And I told Summer that I wanted us to move on to a serious relationship. From now on, can we change our relationship to one based on the premise of marriage? If you ever get tired of me, feel free to dump me. I want to know more about you, Summer, and make memories together at many places. Andrew. Thank you, I'm really happy. Let's consider marriage, shall we? And so, we moved our relationship forward with marriage in mind, getting to know each other better than before. The more I got to know about Summer, the more I fell for her. It seems Summer felt the same way. Once, we went on a short trip together and created fun memories. At a tourist spot, we asked a passerby to take a photo of us, and we both had great smiles on. Clearly showed that we were having a good time. This picture became one of my favorites, and it was developed and framed in my room. One day, while having dinner with my parents, my mom suddenly said, "You've been going out a lot lately. What are you up to? Isn't it about time you got a girlfriend? Are you just hanging out with your classmates again?" Seriously. Tom already got married. That's right, you're at a good age to have a girlfriend. That's the thing, I already have one. What? You've been unpopular your whole life and now you have a girlfriend? It's none of your business. I'm in a serious relationship now. I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm thinking about the future without you telling me. I thought you were just working all the time with no time for personal life. Wow, you with a girlfriend, that's a relief for me. That's kind of rude. Dad and Mom, sometimes you say things in an annoying way. Really? I never thought it seemed that way. We're only saying this because we care about you. We thought you'd be single forever. Perhaps my parents aren't aware of it, but they can be a bit annoying. Not sure if they're just overly protective or naturally meddlesome. Or maybe they're just being naturally dense. I sometimes found them annoying. They're not bad people, but they irritate me sometimes. I went back to my room and brought out the framed photo. I'm still living at home at my age because the rent in New York is so high it helps save money. Look at this. This is my girlfriend, Summer. Isn't she pretty? What's the matter? Why are you surprised? Could it be, is Summer's last name Garcia? Oh, I know this girl. Because she was under my care. Wait, what do you mean by that? Look, see the beaded ring on Summer's right hand? I gave that to her a long time ago. Ah, she always wears that ring. I asked her why once, and she said it was from someone important to her from the past. Wait, Mom. You gave it to her? Yes, she was ill. She spent a long time in the pediatric ward of the university hospital. What? Summer was sick? Yes, she was hospitalized with leukemia. She must be in remission now. Leukemia is considered treatable these days, unlike before. Right, I remember you were into bead crafts back then. So that's when you gave it to her. Yes, she loved crafts but became too weak to do them because of her illness, so I took up making accessories and gave her that ring as a charm. That was it, huh? What a revelation. It's good to see her looking so healthy now. I'm glad she's better. Mom was in tears. I had no idea about this, and I thought the ring Summer always wore on her right hand was just from a friend or someone. Summer looks very healthy now, and she's working as a nurse. So, it seems her illness is better now. Actually, Summer said she went into the medical path because she was saved by someone in her past. Turns out, it was you, Mom. Oh my, she remembered me to that extent. Such a small girl back then, and now she's grown up so wonderfully. Summer is now working hard every day as a nurse. I'm glad I have met her. She's really amazing. I met her at a party where she took care of me when I was drunk. There's no one as kind as her. Maybe she didn't want me to worry about her past illness, or maybe she thought I would break up with her if she told me. Silly. I would never do that. Summer. Thank you for being well. Andrew, you really did find a wonderful girlfriend. As parents, we're relieved. And your charm worked, didn't it? It's good that you learned those crafts. Yes, I'm so glad I learned them. I'm so happy she's kept it all this time. Before we knew it, we were all crying. Especially Mom, her face a mess with tears, using up a ton of tissues. Even my face was a mess with tears and snot. Perhaps Summer was indeed being considerate by not speaking about her past. But even knowing she was sick, I never thought about breaking up. On the contrary, seeing her overcome a serious illness and work hard as a nurse, I respected and loved her even more. Surely, kind Summer didn't speak up because she thought it might trouble me. But I'm afraid that her illness might recur, so I want to hear from Summer about her current health condition. One day, I called Summer to the park where she had taken care of me. Summer came to the park at night in casual clothes. What's going on? What's this important discussion about? Well, I need to hear it from you, Summer. So, that. Wait. Are you trying to break up? No, I want to be with you, Andrew. Did I do something wrong? Just sit down and calm down. Here's a can of coffee. Hey, that ring, you wear it all the time except at work, right? Yes, as a nurse, I can't wear nails or jewelry, so I wear it all the time except when I'm working. It stays in my bag then. I see. So, what about this ring? Well, my mom gave it to you. Remember and the nurse. Oh. Anne? Yeah, you know her. That makes sense because she was the nurse at the hospital where you were hospitalized for leukemia. Remember. At T University Hospital? Yes. Summer fell silent. Perhaps she thought I'd be upset knowing she was sick. Summer was looking down, so I couldn't read her facial expression. She clutched the can of coffee tightly, not moving at all. I'm not angry, and I actually admire you, Summer, for overcoming your illness. But for the future, just in case. I want to know about your health or any troubles you might be having. After all, I'm going to be your husband. Wait, does that mean, like, marriage? I'm sorry the proposal came out this way. But I want to be with you forever, Summer, and I want you to stay healthy. As a husband? It's important to be aware of my wife's health condition, right? I'd be in trouble if something happened. I'm fine right now. I can live almost like anyone else, so don't worry. If anything bothers me, I'll definitely tell you. Really? So, you're not having any troubles now and you're healthy? Ah, Summer. I'm really glad I met you. My mom praised you for being such a hard worker. Dad also said he's sure you're a wonderful lady. You should come over to our house sometime soon. Okay, I'll visit then. Let's work hard to be a good married couple. Though it was an unusual way to propose, I managed to convey my love to Summer. First, I went to Summer's parents' house to introduce myself. Her parents were very calm and seemed very sincere. My parents were serious about their work too, but they were quite laid back in their private lives, something I wish they would learn from. It was clear that Summer was dearly loved as she grew up. I inferred this from the way her parents spoke. After that, I took Summer to my parents' house. She seemed a bit nervous, standing frozen in front of the house. Andrew, your father is a doctor, right? Wow, such a respectable house. I wonder if someone from a common background like me could be accepted here. Don't worry about that, let's go inside. Okay. We arrived at my parents' house on a Sunday afternoon after our date. When I opened the door, my parents came to greet us. It was perfect timing since neither of them was working that day. Thank you for having us. Oh, Summer, you've grown up so much. Come in, come in. When I heard you were Andrew's girlfriend, I was quite surprised. Come on in, come in. Thank you very much. It's great to see you so healthy. I'd been worried about you ever since then, wondering how you were doing while I worked. Thank you for your concern. Since then, my illness has improved, and I can live a normal life now. I work just like anyone else. Because you took such good care of me, I wanted to become a nurse too and went to nursing school. That's wonderful to hear. I'm really glad, Mom. It's the best feeling to see a patient doing well. Yes, I'm glad you're doing well, Summer. And you still treasure that ring, even though it was such a clumsy piece, you even wear it today. Oh no, it's beautifully made. I was so happy when you made it for me when I was too sick to do crafts myself. I've treasured it ever since. It's practically a part of me now. I wear it all the time except when I'm working. I'm glad to hear that, it was worth making it. Surely, it's thanks to this charm that I got so much better and could fulfill my dream of becoming a nurse. I am truly grateful. Thank you. My future mother-in-law. Oh dear, don't be so formal. Just call me Mom. Then, Mom it is. I always wanted a daughter like you in the house. Eh? That's news to me. Were you thinking about a third child? Yes, but after having your brother and you, and developed infertility issues. That's why we gave up on having a third. I never knew that. I didn't know that Mom wanted a third child or that she had fertility issues. I suppose she cried only in front of Dad. Infertility means the inability to sustain a pregnancy. Though Mom had Tom and me, it seems she thought it was just a fluke. Infertility is not the same as being unable to conceive, it means you can get pregnant but can't sustain the pregnancy. And it doesn't necessarily start with the first child. Summer explained this to me. She is a nurse specializing in obstetrics. Mom, you've been through so much too. If it's okay with you, please treat me as your daughter-in-law and ask me for anything. What a good girl. Ah, Summer becoming Andrew's wife, it's like a miracle. Andrew, you better cherish her more, or you'll be cursed. That's right, such an admirable person becoming your wife, you need to try even harder. I understand. From now on, let's support each other as a family. If you ever have any troubles, just say it. And if Andrew turns out to be a deadbeat, feel free to scold him. Since both of you work, make sure you share the housework, Andrew. Andrew is kind, so I'm sure it'll be fine. And with that, we got married. Somehow Jason heard that I had gotten married and was incredibly upset. But whatever he said, I didn't care because I'm very happy now. It seems that after that, Jason was rejected by the girl he confessed to. Apparently, his cheating was discovered. Thinking what a fool, I couldn't help but smirk. Well, I decided to forget about Jason since he doesn't matter. Afterward, Summer and I had our wedding ceremony, and I was so happy that everyone celebrated with us. Isn't it great that everyone is celebrating? I'm so glad I married you, Summer. Me too, I'm really happy to get married to you. And to be able to reunite and express my gratitude to your mom, who took care of me. I've always treasured the charm ring. It has always been with me, almost like a part of my body, filled with your mother's love. My mom was really happy too. She thinks of you like her own daughter. If you ever have any trouble, tell me. I'm always on your side. Yes, I'm on your side too. I'll always be here for you. We felt truly blessed by everyone at our beautiful wedding ceremony. I thought I had never been as happy in my life as I was then. But even happier events were yet to come. It was a year and a half after we got married. When Summer started experiencing changes in her health, I worried that her illness might be acting up again. But it was something else entirely. Summer was pregnant. And then, she gave birth to our baby. I'm so happy, it feels like a dream to meet such a cute baby. I've finally become the mom I always wanted to be. Yeah, you are a mom and I'm a dad. Let's do our best in raising our child together. Yes, I'll do my best to be a good mom. And don't work too hard, okay? Yeah, I know. Summer went back to her parents' house for a while, but her mom and my mom visited several times. Summer also received help from her parents, which must have been helpful. My mom also checked on her from time to time. Mom maintained a good distance with Summer, making sure not to be too intrusive. I felt blessed to be loved by both my mother-in-law and father-in-law. I really think I married into a good family. Yeah, Mom would be really happy to hear that. Summer has always been cherished by my parents. She's friendly and charming, which is probably why she's so beloved. And being polite, she's naturally liked. As time went on, I grew older. Summer and I are now middle-aged. Our daughter Samantha is now a university student. She is studying nursing at university. It seems she decided to become a nurse as well, inspired by her mother and grandmother who are nurses. I worked hard for my daughter. I didn't know what career she would want in the future, and I wanted to save enough for her tuition. Even if my boss ridiculed me or my colleagues tried to hold me back, I never gave up. My efforts were recognized, and I got promoted and received a managerial position. Now my salary is quite good, and I can provide well for my family. While we were never poor, having a family made me realize the need to push harder. I am proud to have a family. Surrounded by a hard-working, intelligent wife and a cheerful, energetic daughter, I am indeed a lucky man. I'm glad I ignored the ridicule from classmates back then and pushed through relentlessly. Summer remains healthy without any recurrence of her illness. Though we have aged, we both continue to work hard and lead fulfilling lives. I am proud of Summer, who loves working as a nurse. She is hardworking and diligent, and I aspire to emulate her as we spend the rest of our lives together. Facing the parking lot, I thought fondly of my beloved old car. Robert, you really are. As I turned toward the voice, Sophia looked at me with a calm expression. My name is Robert, and I'm 26 years old. I joined my current company as a skilled employee with prior work experience 2 years ago. The company is a small programming firm. As a software engineer, my days are spent in front of a computer. Most of my colleagues are also intensely focused on their computers. For someone like me who's not great at communicating, it's the perfect workplace. Today, everyone on the floor is quietly getting their work done. Robert. Except for this one colleague. Hey, I need to talk to you. This is Samantha. She's 24, younger than me, but she joined the company right after high school. She's been here for nearly 6 years, making her a veteran. She handles administration, accounting, and miscellaneous tasks. She's pretty meticulous at her job, but what a character! Bright blonde hair, perfect makeup and nails, and daily changing perfumes. She's just a different breed. The floor, usually quiet, tends to be lively whenever she speaks to someone. What is it? Naturally, I, who am not fond of communication, find Samantha challenging. We sit far apart, so she rarely speaks to me. What does she want today? Why don't you go on a blind date? A blind date? I couldn't help but exclaim in a ridiculous tone. At that, Samantha burst into laughter. Don't take it so seriously. There's this really cute girl, one of my colleagues, you know? Aren't you interested? Not really. I cut her off sharply. The woman Samantha is trying to set me up with. I just don't feel like we'd be a good match. Ah, come on, just meet her. Just when I thought the conversation was over, she persisted. I'm not interested in dating right now. I thought I had cut her off sharply, but Samantha was unfazed, asking, so? Maybe you'll get interested once you meet her? Seriously, don't you find everyday life a bit bland? I've never seen you looking like you're having fun. She said this bluntly. Since she's always like this, her words don't particularly hurt me. I'm satisfied with my life as it is. Besides, Samantha, what are you thinking, introducing someone like me? No offense, but I'm a plain guy. I know. It's one thing to say it myself, but it irks me when others do. All the guys around me are so loud. I thought maybe it'd be refreshing to have someone like you around for a change. That was quite an insult. Naturally, my answer was a firm no. But, right? It's settled then. This Sunday, at 10 a.m., meet at Central Station. You have a car, right? Come pick me up in your car, okay? She had forcefully decided on the time and place. I said I'm not going. It's impossible. Please ask someone else. How about asking Ryan? When I casually mentioned Ryan, his eyes widened and he shook his head vigorously. Robert is the one I want this time. Are you really going to turn down a colleague's request? I won't do your errands anymore. I won't even process your expenses. Are you okay with that? That would be a problem. Well, but... Just as I was about to complain further, our manager, Brandon, shouted in anger. Samantha, enough. Good, Brandon finally intervened. Just as I thought this issue was resolved, Robert. Just give in and go. She's making too much noise, followed by an unbelievable continuation. Yes. Look, it's an order from the manager. I tried to protest Samantha, cutting off her exclamations. But, come on, it's a good experience. Maybe non-assertive men are the trend now. But as an American man... Brandon, suddenly fired up, lectured me for about 20 minutes. I decided to give up. Fine, I'll go on Sunday. It seems she targeted me out of novelty, but I planned to bow out within 5 seconds of the meeting. On the day, Sunday, I dressed casually and arrived at the meeting spot in my beloved car. After parking, I met up with them at the station concourse. Next to Samantha, who was wearing an even flashier miniskirt than usual, was my blind date. Her hair wasn't as flashy as Samantha's but still dyed brown. Her makeup was impeccable with false eyelashes, and she wore a long skirt. Samantha was teasing her. Hey Sophia, what's with that outfit? You're less enthusiastic than usual. Where's your sexy miniskirt? Don't spill the beans, Samantha. So, she usually wears more revealing clothes. Isn't your perfume too mild today? But Samantha, you said milder is better. I did say that, but isn't this too mild? Right, Robert? Honestly, I couldn't care less. I really think we're just too different. Ah, this is Sophia. Samantha introduced us, ignoring my confusion. The woman introduced herself cheerfully. I'm Sophia. Very happy to meet you today. I'm Robert. Nice to meet you. As I mumbled my greeting, Samantha immediately retorted, cheer up. Stand up straight. And what's with that outfit? You knew you were meeting a girl. Right? You could have put more effort into it. I should have chosen an outfit for you. Samantha was as loud as ever this early in the morning. This is my best outfit, though. Samantha was shocked by my blurted reply, and Sophia burst out laughing. Did she just laugh? That's funny. I didn't know what exactly tickled her, but my appearance didn't make her decline the blind date. Then let's head over to the cafe in Robert's car. We can talk more there. Samantha energetically waved her fist and headed for the parking lot. We arrived at the parking lot and walked toward my beloved car. As we approached, Samantha's face grew increasingly pale. "Please, get in." When I unlocked my old, cherished car, Samantha screamed. "I had a hunch, but is this junker really your car?" "Calling it a junker is rude. It's an old compact car that I've been taking good care of. Sure, the paint is peeling here and there, and it's faded. It might look ready for the scrapyard, but I maintain it well, and it still runs fine." "Ew, I'm riding in this?" "I can't. It's you, Samantha." "I knew you would say that." "Now, Sophia, you feel the same, right?" No way." Nodding, I was ready to call it quits there. "That's super cute though." "What?" Samantha and I froze. "Wow. It's a two-door. So cute. It looks adorable with its compact shape and faded color. Can I ride in it?" Sure." Overwhelmed by the enthusiasm, I agreed. Sophia happily climbed into the car. She buckled up and sat up straight. "Hey, Samantha, what's going on here?" "What do you mean?" "Well, normally someone would politely refuse after seeing this car, right?" "It's fine, Sophia seems to like it." "But I have no plan." Just as I was about to say more, Samantha's phone rang. "Oh. It's my boyfriend." "No way, he's free to meet now." "Lucky. I had a bad feeling." "Okay. I don't want to ride in this car." "You two have fun." "Just as I expected." "Give me a break. I can't do this without you, Samantha. I'm not good at talking." As I protested, Samantha seemed preoccupied with thoughts of her boyfriend. It's okay. Sophia will do the talking." "Okay, Robert." Smirking, she leaned in close. "Make sure you get her." With that, Samantha vanished into the station concourse at the speed of light. "Where's Samantha?" When Sophia realized it was just going to be only me, she looked a bit uneasy. "She's got a date with her boyfriend, so it's just us two now." "Awkward, right?" "I'll just take you home today." I hinted at disbanding, but Sophia responded, "Oh, that's great for Samantha, she's been looking lonely lately." "Oh, can I go to the restroom?" "I'll be back in 5 minutes." Though she could have taken the train home. Without saying a word, I nodded, watching her walk away. When Sophia returned, she seemed like a different person. "Sorry." I touched up my makeup. If I had shown up in front of Samantha like this, she would have teased me. The makeup Sophia wore was more natural, almost like she was barefaced. Recently, my makeup has been too heavy. "Oh, how is it?" "Weird." Her slightly embarrassed expression was unexpectedly cute. "It's fine, either way, but..." Sophia flinched slightly. "You don't have to force yourself." Then Sophia blushed slightly and said, "Since we've just met, but please feel free to point out anything odd about me." "Oh. That was quite rude of Samantha, wasn't it?" "I'm sorry. She didn't mean any harm." "Ah, indeed, she did tear into my car quite a bit. She's notoriously blunt at work too. But it's okay. She may speak harshly, but at heart, she's a good person." "I know that." "She's also meticulous at her job, and she even makes coffee daily, keeping each employee's preferences in mind." Saying this, Sophia looked as if she herself had been praised. "Are you sure this is okay?" Suddenly just the two of us. It's fine. Let's go." So the blind date continued. I'm not good at making conversation, and surely, if the silence in the car drags on, she will tire of a plain guy like me. I tried to steel myself, but then. "Do you want some chewing gum? Water?" I brought a variety of things. "Do you prefer sweet or salty snacks? What do you like to do on your days off, Robert?" Her words bombarded me like an unstoppable deluge. There was hardly a moment of silence. And there I was, unable to respond well. Gradually, I began to sink into self-loathing. This is fun. Hearing that, I blurted out, "I'm not looking to date anyone right now." Without any context, I suddenly blurted out my true feelings. I was slightly irritated that Sophia called our quiet car ride fun. I wasn't providing any entertainment. There's no way it could actually be fun. We should end this farce quickly. It's a waste of both my time and Sophia's. At a red light, I glanced at Sophia's face, and she responded with a smile. That's okay. Her smile seemed a bit clouded. Don't be so serious. Oh, are you tired from driving? Should we take a break somewhere? The tense atmosphere lightened slightly. In the end, my statement only seemed to make her more considerate. Feeling unbearable, I suggested going to a movie. Sophia's eyes sparkled. A movie date. Yay! I want to buy caramel popcorn. I had only suggested it because it meant 2 hours without needing to talk. Yet, she was excited. I sank deeper into self-disgust. Wow! What's that? Where? Did that come up before? Ha! That line was funny, wasn't it? That was naive of me. People who love to talk will talk anywhere. Seemingly aware of disturbing other people, she whispered in my ear in a hushed voice. It was ticklish. Suddenly, I realized. Wait, is she taller than me? Sophia's face was above my line of sight. Oh, maybe it's just her good posture. I've always been a bit slouched. I had noticed her good posture even in the car. As I was momentarily captivated by her posture, she offered me some popcorn. I hadn't really wanted any. Reflecting back, she had offered drinks and chewing gum while driving, too. I felt a warm feeling inside. It reminded me of how my grandmother used to show her care. After the movie, the question arose, where to next? I shouldn't be swept away by Sophia's cheerful disposition. I needed to be clear. Sorry, continuing this is a waste of time. I really don't want to date anyone, and we're just too different in personality and everything. I'll drive you home, let's call it a day. Sophia looked surprised and a bit resigned. Understood, but there's just one place I'd like to stop by before we head back, is that okay? So, I drove the car, since it seemed to be on our way home. Here. The destination was a spacious park with a view of the ocean. Famous for its annual fireworks festival, it was actually a place I was quite familiar with. Sophia suggested we walk a little, so we got out of the car. Unusually, Sophia was silent. It felt a bit awkward. This bench. It was just an ordinary bench in the park. This is where you helped me, she said. Surprised, I stared at Sophia. You're the type who can't leave someone in trouble alone, aren't you? I remembered several instances where this was true. Lost, feeling sick. When I spot someone like that in the bustling crowd, I can't just ignore them. Indeed, that's my nature. My beloved grandparents were the same. One day during the fireworks festival, I came here with friends. I wasn't used to the sandals I was wearing and they hurt so much. It became painful to walk, and I went looking for a convenience store. I told my friends to go ahead without me. But there was no store around. And when I couldn't walk anymore, I sat down here on this bench and huddled up, then you offered me a bandage. I remembered. Suddenly, a memory of a woman holding her foot and looking down came to my mind. Wait, that was you, Sophia? You looked so different. I didn't recognize you at all. Sophia smiled faintly. I had dyed my hair black and styled it up, so the vibe was totally different. I see, that explained the drastic change in her appearance. As I nodded in understanding, Sophia continued. I was so moved, but I couldn't ask for your contact info, and I never thought we'd meet again. But there was a drinking party of your company last month, right? As she mentioned it, I recalled. A mandatory social gathering that everyone had to attend. That day, Samantha called me. It sucked, so we're having our own little party, she said. I was nearby, so I joined early, and there you were. Robert, I was so surprised. I asked Samantha to introduce you. I wasn't just filler then. It wasn't just a random selection, she had been looking for me, and I was the one she wanted. Surprised by this revelation, I found myself staring at Sophia. Unable to stand the tension, I asked a question. Why are you close with Samantha? Upon hearing this, Sophia smiled thinly. My parents are divorced. It felt like I had asked something I shouldn't have, unsure how to respond. Ah, my parents were always busy too, we hardly talked, I tried to reply. Sophia smiled faintly again. Before they divorced, it was really tough. I went off the rails then. That's when I met Samantha. Just hanging out and having fun without thinking about anything. I thought if I lost Samantha and the others, I'd have nowhere else to go. So I really put effort into my makeup and clothes. I see. Searching for a place to belong, was Samantha that place? Couldn't there have been somewhere else? My grandmother died around the time of my parents' divorce. I used to be sent to stay with my grandmother whenever my parents fought. With both my parents divorcing and my grandmother gone, I ran away from everything. That's why I'm really grateful to Samantha. If it weren't for them at that time, who knows what would have happened. Oh, but I'm thinking of moving on from the makeup soon. If your grandmother saw this makeup, she'd faint, I teased. With that, she jumped up in a panic. Just thinking about it scares me. I loved her because she was so kind, but she was very strict. Ah, I see. Your good posture is thanks to your grandmother's upbringing, then, I remarked. As I said this, her spine stretched even taller, and her face turned bright red. I suddenly felt a kinship with her, and my guard came down. My parents were always busy with work, too. It was pretty much my grandparents who raised me. I get it. Grandmothers are super strict but also incredibly kind. As I expressed empathy, Sophia's face lit up with joy. That car is actually a keepsake from my grandfather. He cherished it so much, and I wanted to keep it. I turned towards the parking lot, my thoughts lingering on my beloved old car. Robert, you really are. As I turned toward her voice, Sophia was facing me with a serene expression. You're a wonderful person. You care about your grandfather and you're kind. I blushed and looked down, embarrassed by her straightforward compliment. I want to wait until you like me back. I finally found you. I don't want to give up. Is there absolutely no chance? Honestly, my impression of her had changed considerably since we first met. For the better. Much better. But then, I suddenly remembered. The women who approached me during my student days. As soon as they realized I wasn't what they expected, they drifted away. Give me some time to think. That was all I could manage to say. Months later. Sorry for making you wait. I just couldn't tie this ribbon properly, does it look okay? Sophia twirled in front of me in her dress. It looks fine, but it might come undone if you move too much. Hearing this, she suddenly straightened her back, startled. I won't get too excited. But, she gently took my hand. Is it okay if I hold your hand? She looked up at me with those big eyes. I was probably blushing all the way to my ears. Today was our fireworks date. At that same park where we had apparently first met. Yes, I had decided to date Sophia. After that day we parted ways. Sophia was persistent. She'd call or message whenever there was a chance. Somehow, she had managed to set up dates without me even realizing. Samantha kept teasing me, Sophia has changed. Are you guys dating? Just date her already. Sophia had gradually become more herself around Samantha. I didn't need Samantha to tell me, but by that time I had fallen in love with Sophia, who I felt comfortable with. Sophia was talkative and cheerful. Of course, she never got upset even when I couldn't speak well. Recently, even the silences felt comfortable. That's why I was worried. Whether to let Sophia know everything about me as I truly am. After watching the fireworks, as we were moving through the crowd, Sophia noticeably slowed down. I looked down and saw that the tops of her feet were red. It seemed the straps of her sandals had rubbed her skin raw again. Unfortunately, I didn't have any band-aids with me today. Sophia was supposed to have brought some, but they were nowhere to be found, possibly dropped somewhere. It looked like it would be difficult to get her back to her apartment by train. Maybe this is a good opportunity. I muttered softly, and Sophia tilted her head in confusion. Feeling a sudden closeness, I suggested, my place is nearby, should we go there? Sophia reacted with exaggerated surprise. In the months we had been seeing each other, I had never once invited her over to my home. While I had stopped by her place a few times when dropping her off, I had never hosted her at mine. She seemed a bit sad about this. The reason I hesitated to invite her over. It was because. Wait, is this high-rise yours? That was the reason. Wait, you work at the same company as Samantha, right? How can you afford the rent here? I invited a stunned Sophia inside and tended to her feet. What did Samantha tell you about me? Sophia recounted as she remembered. Well, she said you were plain, serious, always brought your lunch, and seemed like you didn't have much money. She even wondered if I still wanted you. What a description. But that was fine. That was the kind of person I was striving to become. I am plain and serious, but my investments have done well, and I have a decent amount of money. Enough to buy a high-rise as a tax strategy. I explained. Sophia's eyes widened even more. Why didn't you tell me until now? She squeezed out a perfectly reasonable question. In one word, distrust. My parents were successful in business, remember? I told you they were always busy. That meant a lot of money was around. I don't live lavishly, but somehow people find out about such things. People would befriend me. And when they realized they couldn't get money out of me, they'd call me boring and exclude me. I went out with a girl because she said, I like your kindness, and then she asked me for expensive brand name goods for her birthday and Christmas. I didn't have that kind of allowance. So when I refused, they'd call me lame and break up with me. Eventually, I realized they were only after my parents' money. And I couldn't trust anyone anymore, I confessed. Sophia looked like she was about to cry. What about your parents? They handed over their business and are enjoying their retirement abroad. Didn't you take over the business? A natural question. Maybe it was out of stubbornness. I didn't want to simply inherit my parents' success. It didn't suit me. I said awkwardly, looking down. The business was in trade, involving a lot of travel and socializing, which I found difficult. So, I thought I'd support my parents by learning about investments, helping them from behind the scenes. They probably knew I was struggling. They decided to hand the business over to someone else and told me to live freely. I was told I could just let it be, but that didn't really matter to me. I used all the money I received from my parents for college and job start gifts on investments. Whether it was beginner's luck or the payoff of my studies, it worked out. My parents often said, "Why don't you spend more lavishly?" But I've never been comfortable with extravagant spending. My parents are abroad, and we hardly communicate now. But I was loved by my grandparents. Even if my parents were busy and friends or lovers drifted away, I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. Enough of that story. More importantly, Sophia, now that you know the truth about me, what do you think? Sophia looked at me, startled. Perhaps she thought she had struck it rich. Or that I had been awful for deceiving her. Or that I hadn't trusted her enough to share this for so long. However, Sophia surprised me with a response I hadn't anticipated. I'm not a match for you. A question mark appeared in my mind. I decided to ask her directly. What do you mean? Tears began to fall from Sophia's eyes. I'm not a match for you, you come from such a respectable family. You've experienced loneliness yet didn't lash out and drop out. You went to university. You even learned investing to support your parents and stood on your own without frivolously using their money. I felt like crying too. There had been times when I thought about spending my parents' money freely. Everyone around me expected that of me. But it was my beloved grandparents who stopped me. And now, out of respect for them, I am careful about how I use the surplus money I have. I felt that Sophia had acknowledged this. However, the silence as I pondered this was interpreted differently by Sophia. See, I really don't match up. A high school graduate and former delinquent can't even meet your parents. I'm sorry, I should go. I won't contact you anymore. Leaving a bewildered me behind, Sophia quickly exited my apartment. It was all so sudden that I just stared dumbfounded in the direction she had gone. Pull yourself together, me. It's not like that. I shouted toward the door Sophia had left through and dashed out without a second thought. I might never meet a woman like Sophia again. Images of the Sophia I knew flashed through my mind like a slideshow. Always bright, often laughing, and her posture was always impeccable. Her way of eating was so graceful that I often found myself mesmerized. She seemed to feel complex about her troubled past, but to me, she was always beautiful, no matter the circumstances. I wanted to embrace that troubled her. Since that can no longer happen, I want to embrace her of now, forever. I caught up with Sophia, and all these words that I had uttered at once became the words of a proposal from me to her. Sarah sighed softly. The chocolates you gave me on my birthday were also beautifully colored. She muttered softly, causing my heart to skip a beat. Those were the chocolates that led to our separation. Bright chocolates inspired by Sarah. Sarah looked down and pursed her lips. Her lips opened slightly, about that time. As soon as she began to speak. My name is Kyle. I'm a 30-year-old confectioner. Phew, it's done. Today, I'm working at a wedding reception venue. Oh, it turned out beautifully. A calm, low voice said from behind. I turned to see a dignified woman standing there. The bride's mother. She is also the master at the coffee workshop where I deliver my chocolates. A renowned master in our local area. Being addressed by Miss Sage, I naturally straightened up. I made it with all my heart. What do you think? As I asked, Miss Sage beamed with joy. I'm so glad I left it up to your young sensibility. Now, we have a seat for you at the reception, so go change and enjoy yourself. I headed to the dressing room. Today is the wedding of Miss Sage's daughter. After working at the reception venue, I'm also attending the wedding reception. As a business associate, she invited me. Honestly, it's a very large reception, and I'm nervous. I wonder if I'm out of place here. While feeling anxious, I completed the registration and received the seating chart. But it was hard to find my name on it. Going through the seats on the bride's side, I finally found my name at a table mostly filled with women. It seemed like most people at the table are the bride's friends. Then, I saw a surprising name next to mine. Sarah Thompson. Could it be the same person? It was the name of a woman I dated in high school, right next to mine. My heart ached slightly. However, why am I assigned to the friends table? As I entered the venue, I realized. The business-related seats were filled with dignified, older individuals. I wouldn't have enjoyed being thrown into that table. It must have been Ms. Sage's consideration. I silently thanked her. As I looked around the vast reception hall and found my seat, my heart leaped. The woman listed next to me. She was dressed in a beautiful blue gown. I slowly walked forward and pulled out my chair. The woman in the dress turned quickly to look at me. Is that really you, Kyle? Long time no see. She must have been surprised to see my name as well. It's been a while. How have you been? Well, Sarah, looking slightly down with an awkward gaze, was very beautiful. Even in high school, without makeup, she was very cute and had a wonderful smile. It reminded me of our high school days. I was just entering high school, nervous. The first to speak to me with a lively smile, saying, "What's your name?" "I'm Sarah." "Call me Sarah," was her. Among girls our age, she was outstandingly cute, and I fell for her in no time. Our seats were close, so we naturally became friends, joined the same extracurricular activities and committees, and spent more and more time together. Eventually, we started dating. When I awkwardly asked her out, she confirmed sharply, "What? Say it clearly. We're dating, right?" We started dating towards the end of our first year and continued smoothly, but our paths diverged. I was set to take over my family's confectionery shop after graduating from high school, while she was heading to college. We ended up in different classes, and after she stopped going to extracurricular activities, she increased her study time. The time we couldn't meet increased, which frustrated me, who was relatively free. Still wanting to cheer her up, I made her handmade sweets for her birthday. I practiced daily under my father's guidance and made bright yellow, festive chocolates that reflected her image. I thought she would be delighted with the chocolates I handed her, but she showed a slight disappointment. Then, she murmured, "Oh, it's not a cake." Indeed, cakes are standard of birthday. I was well aware that her favorite was strawberry shortcake. But I believed the chocolates I made were better. She quickly tried to cover, saying, "Oh, sorry. Is this handmade by you, Kyle?" "Amazing. It's beautiful," but her muttered words, "It's not a cake," deeply hurt me. After that, we gradually grew apart. Eventually, she broke up with me, saying, "I have to focus on my studies from now on." Sitting at my seat in the reception hall, those high school days flashed through my mind. I glanced at her next to me. From the lively high school girl, she had matured into a calm and composed woman. The light blue dress with subtle pink flowers scattered on it suited her very well. Her light makeup, based on pink tones, complemented her distinct features beautifully. She seemed softer, got changed from bright like yellow sunflower in high school days, which she was still stunning. She had been talking to the woman next to her, but when the woman left, she turned back to me. "I'm a friend of the bride from college, but how do you know her, Kyle?" When asked, I replied, "Through work. I know the bride's mom a little." Her eyes widened in surprise. "Wow. You're working with her? Amazing, that's Miss Sage, right?" I was shocked when I heard she was my friend's mom. "Indeed, Miss Sage is well known." "Eh? How did you meet? Through confections?" I nodded. "I met Miss Sage on a drizzly spring day as a confectioner, and although my parents continued working, they had handed the business management over to me. So I was doing sales as a business owner too. Especially workshops, once they use our confections, they tend to keep ordering, which is great for our shop. I had been delivering regularly to a small classroom, but the orders weren't large enough to stabilize the business. I was constantly exploring ways to increase sales. Then one day, a woman came into the shop. "May I take shelter from the rain a bit? It started pouring all of a sudden." As she entered, I was genuinely surprised. The woman was Miss Sage, who runs the largest workshop in the area. I had been struggling with daily shop management, always attending events like workshops whenever I saw one. What kind of atmosphere the event had, what kinds of confections were served. I once attended a workshop and the confections presented there were spectacular. Most of the local events are usually organized by Miss Sage. I used to dream about working with her someday. And now, she is right in front of me. She was taking shelter from the rain and intently looking at the sweets I made. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to burst. Excited, I started talking to her. She seemed a bit surprised that I know her, but when I mentioned that I usually attended the events, she praised me for being diligent. Encouraged by her words, I timidly spoke of my dream. Someday, at the biggest local event, I dream of seeing my confections on display. She looked slightly troubled. "I'm sorry. For important events, we usually use products from a well-established confectionery that we have a long relationship with." Her blunt response made me feel embarrassed and deflated, like a balloon losing air. However, she then added, "But I can tell they are very carefully made, your sweets. If they taste good, I might use them occasionally for smaller events. Could I try your confections?" Her kind words lifted my spirits to the sky. I shared these memories with Sarah. Getting feedback on my sweets from Ms. Sage really helps me learn. Not having any negatives would be ideal. But I'm actually happy when she points out things that could be improved. As I rambled on, she chuckled. "You're really working hard, aren't you?" Her comments suddenly made me feel shy. I was giddy like a child. It was the rain that connected you to her. "I also started noticing you when we shared an umbrella on the way home." I had forgotten mine. That's right. My umbrella was an old one from my father, so it was large, and even with both of us under it, we weren't too close. But I, who was already infatuated with her, couldn't stop my heart from racing during our shared umbrella moment. As we got a bit quieter, the host's voice echoed. "It seems the bride and groom are about to enter." Sarah and I paused our conversation and focused on the entrance of the venue. The doors opened, and they entered. The bride's dress was mainly white but with some adjustments. Her softly set hair sparkled with accessories. The groom's tuxedo was also original. Sarah and I expressed our admiration and sent a generous round of applause to bless the newlyweds. The reception proceeded smoothly, and the bride and groom left the venue to change outfits. Since the bride's friend's table was all women, I felt a bit out of place and nibbled on the food and drink in front of me. Then, Ms. Sage appeared with a drink. She was going around to each table, serving drinks. It must be hard with such a large number of guests. I greeted her lightly. Once again, congratulations on today. Then, she poured wine into my glass and said, "The classroom is doing well thanks to you. Please enjoy yourself hereafter." She said this with a smile. Joy warmed my face. She greeted each person at the table and then moved on to other tables. As I relaxed, Sarah excitedly spoke up, "Hey. What?" I looked puzzled, and she waved her hands. What? What? To be spoken to like that by Miss Sage. How could one become such a person? She got too excited and her words were all over the place. Seeing her like that was so endearing that I couldn't help but laugh. There was a bit of a mix-up with Miss Sage during the autumn festival. Taking advantage of the host's announcement of "Please enjoy yourselves," I decided to delve into another memory. It might have been about 2 years ago. Gradually, I had become closer to Miss Sage, and she had started entrusting me with the confections for smaller events. Sales were steadily increasing, and things were finally taking off. One clear autumn morning, the phone at the shop rang. It was Miss Sage, and unlike her usual calm demeanor, she sounded panicked. "It's a disaster. I messed up the order numbers for today's event. We're completely short. How many chocolates do you have at your shop?" There had been a plan to set up a coffee workshop at an autumn event, and the discussion had gone to Miss Sage. It was the first time trying this, so they really wanted to rely on the experienced Miss Sage, who promptly agreed. If it had been an annual event, the usual confectionery shop would have noticed the strange order numbers. But the confectionery shop hadn't thought it strange since the numbers weren't much different from usual. They needed 500 pieces, but only 50 had been ordered. That meant 450 pieces short. A flustered Miss Sage had asked around everywhere, but even with desperate efforts, they were still 300 pieces short. On the spur of the moment, I racked my brain. "Can you manage if I deliver 50 pieces at a time as they're ready?" She agreed to my proposal. Suddenly, the shop got busy. My mother mixed ingredients, while my father and I worked quickly to make the chocolates. My sister, who was married and had moved away, came to help immediately, helping with everything from preparing ingredients to deliveries. Thankfully, we managed to avoid a disaster, and it seemed we were able to provide chocolates to everyone who wanted them. Miss Sage graciously thanked us. We were almost at the brink of losing trust. These kinds of stories spread quickly. I really appreciate your quick thinking and for delivering such beautiful chocolates so swiftly. Her deep and graceful words made us forget the fatigue from our work. Since then, they started using our confections for slightly larger events, and then this led to being invited to her daughter's wedding, just like this. After I finished telling the story, Sarah's eyes sparkled. "That's amazing, that all that happened. How did you make all 300 pieces? Sounds overwhelming." I chuckled. "Well, I made sure they were quick to prepare. But I also worked on making them look vibrant with different colors." Hearing this, she exhaled softly. "The chocolates you gave me on my birthday, they had such lovely colors," she muttered, and it startled me. The chocolates that had led to our separation. Bright and cheerful chocolates inspired by her, featuring vibrant yellow with a touch of light blue. She looked down and pursed her lips. Her lips parted slightly, about that time. Just as she began to speak, the lights in the reception hall went out. Now, the bride and groom were about to re-enter, followed by the cake-cutting ceremony. She swallowed her words and whispered, "Let's talk later," then turned her attention to the entrance of the reception hall. The bride and groom reappeared, this time in vivid attire. The bride wore a dress that suited her perfectly, a striking shade of red. The groom was in a crisp navy blue suit that matched his handsome features well. At that moment, she stood up and grabbed my arm. "Shall we go take a picture?" She invited me with a smile, but "No, I'm good. That sort of thing is more for the ladies." As I tried to refuse, she insisted even more strongly and pulled my arm. She said, "You know, these things are more fun with more people." With that, she forcibly got me to stand up from my seat. Even though her appearance had calmed down, it seemed her somewhat tomboyish traits hadn't changed. Feeling a bit awkward, I joined the crowd gathering around the bride and groom. As the host gave a flamboyant signal, the covering was removed. What appeared? Atop the highest pedestal were chocolates shaped like the bride and groom, surrounded by a colorful array of sweets below. All the chocolates were beautifully decorated. A loud cheer erupted, and I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Yes, this was the wedding sweet tower that I had created, employing all the skills I currently possess, after being requested by Ms. Sage. The bride had expressed a desire to have chocolates and to enjoy coffee prepared by her mother and the students from her mother's class as the main feature. And that major role had been assigned to me, not to a well-established confectionery shop. When I first heard the request, I was surprised, but they said they trusted my sensibilities, and that's how it came to be completed. I thought to myself, this might turn into a bit of an advertisement. As I watched the bride and groom, the host announced, "These chocolates are the work of confectioner Kyle." Suddenly introduced, applause filled the venue. Sarah looked at me in surprise. I wonder what my face looks like right now. Probably the silliest face in the world. I wish they had told me they were going to introduce me. As I was about to blush and look down, the bride shouted, "Thank you for creating such a wonderful sweet tower." My chest warmed with emotion. While the enthusiasm in the hall hadn't yet faded, the lowest pedestal of the tower was cut into, and then coffee was served. As the chocolates were distributed and coffee was served. Noticing my gaze, Sarah smiled slightly. "I'm also learning coffee, though not at Ms. Sage's class." I was surprised. As if reading my thoughts, she began to speak. "Even after we broke up, I couldn't forget about your work and wanted to understand it. Right after entering university, I joined an organization which we can learn about coffee. We can eat the sweets there, right?" she said, chuckling. Trying to understand my work, those words warmed my heart. Then I found it profoundly interesting. She said with a playful stick of her tongue out, "I shouldn't have stared so much at the sweets, but they were really beautiful and lovely. I had a hard time choosing which one to take." "Kyle, you're amazing." Being told that, my lips couldn't help but form a smile. Maybe I had always wanted to be recognized by her. From that day she was disappointed it wasn't a cake. All this time, I made up my mind and said to her, "Would you come to my shop tomorrow night?" At that, she looked surprised. It didn't have to be tomorrow, but I wanted to express my feelings as soon as possible. She nodded. "The location hasn't changed, has it?" I answered with a smile. "Of course not." After the reception concluded, I hurried back home to shape my feelings into something tangible. The next day. The sun is going down early these days. Closing time was approaching, and the surroundings had grown quite dark. As I took in the shop sign, I scanned the area. Then, from the distance, I saw a woman approaching. It was Sarah. She was walking gracefully towards me, dressed in a crisp, light pink outfit. When she spotted me, she smiled and gave a small wave. I invited her inside the now closed shop and had her sit in the small eating space. She looked around the shop. "It's changed a bit. There was no eating space before." She remembered the shop from our high school days. I felt a bit embarrassed, and silence fell between us. I was also mesmerized by how beautiful she looked today. Just as she had in her glamorous dress the day before, this outfit suited her just as well. It was her who broke the silence. "Kyle, you've become really cool, it surprised me." Her words made my heart skip a beat. "You also look really beautiful." As I stumbled over my words, she laughed. "You're still as bad at speaking as ever." Then she pursed her lips tightly. A habit she had when she was about to say something difficult. I meant to say this yesterday, but back in high school, on my birthday. I'm sorry I hurt you." I shook my head slowly. But she continued. "It was awful of me to be disappointed. I've felt terrible about it. Even now, I regret it. Back then, you made such wonderful chocolates by hand. And I didn't appreciate the meaning or the effort. Her voice trembled slightly. I hoped she wouldn't cry. "I've always wanted to be recognized by you, Sarah. You were disappointed because my chocolates couldn't compete with the shortcake you wanted. As I said this casually, she shook her head vehemently. It's not like that. I interrupted her. I used that moment as motivation to work harder. It hurt at the time, but wanting to make something that would make you happy became my driving force. Even the sweets I make for Ms. Sage. I imagine if they would make you smile. Sounds creepy, I know. I always thought, if I had made this back then, would it have made you smile? I glanced at her face to gauge her reaction. She didn't seem to find it creepy. While talking, I moved behind the counter and picked up something, covering it with my hands as I brought it over to her. It was my masterpiece. The colors were a mix of pink and blue, a gentle hue. It was a slightly larger chocolate, intricately crafted. As she reached out to take it, her hand trembled. Looking into her eyes, I saw her in tears. As she took the chocolate from my hand and examined it, a single tear rolled down her cheek. It's beautiful. Hearing those words filled my heart. Did you like it this time? I asked gently, and she nodded vigorously. I made it with your current image in mind. Back in high school, it was vibrant yellow and blue. Now, it's like petals fluttering in a calm blue sky. As I said this shyly, she chuckled. You don't sound like someone who's bad at talking. Did you practice? She hit the nail on the head, and I was taken aback. No, I hadn't practiced. I had only repeated it over and over in my heart. To think you'd hold such a beautiful image of me after all the awful things I said. Kyle, you're too kind. She said this with a sniffle. Sarah, you try to understand me, someone who disappointed you, by studying coffee. That's kind of you. Maybe we could try again? Her eyes widened in surprise. I think if you were by my side, I could improve myself even more. I want to keep creating things you like, things that make you happy. Things that make you smile, right beside you. Is that okay? Tears started to spill from her eyes again. Me? After what I did? I was exasperated. I'll say it as many times as it takes, you didn't do anything awful. We were just kids back then. And hearing that you've grown fond of sweets in your own way, well, that makes me fall for you all over again. Her face turned bright red. I'm happy. I fell for you all over again yesterday. Hey, do you have a coffee set? My face lit up as I stood. Yes. Are you going to make coffee? She nodded with a smile, so I prepared the coffee set. In the quiet shop, the sound of making coffee was soothing. It feels too precious to eat, she said, looking at the chocolate I had given her. I can make it for you every day. As I said this, her eyes sparkled, and she carefully cut a piece and took a bite. She closed her eyes, savoring the taste, and then let out a sweet murmur, delicious. While secretly knocked out by her smile and voice, I too ate some of the chocolates. Then, I reached for the coffee that she had made. I slowly brought it to my lips and took a sip. It was delicious. She also drank the coffee she had prepared inside contentedly. Having her in my shop, making coffee, felt like we were a young married couple. I hope that someday, this could really be us. With that thought, Sarah and I slowly savored our coffee together. Ugh, you look so pathetic soaking wet. Seeing me drenched in mineral water, my manager Lisa said so in a cheerful voice. Today is the first time I meet her. Why would you do something like this? I asked as I wiped my face with a towel a colleague had brought me. Lisa, without a hint of remorse, responded. Because I don't like you. That's all. From her expression, there was no sign of regret. Amidst this, a man hurriedly approached Lisa. He was Benjamin, her father, and the department manager. His expression was the complete opposite of the delighted Lisa. He was pale as if in shock. Lisa, take back what you just said and apologize right now. Benjamin was frantic as he confronted his daughter. Lisa, unable to accept her father's words, retorted. Why should I apologize to such an incompetent employee? Questioning her nerve to call someone incompetent to their face, I silently observed the situation. Faced with his daughter's arrogant attitude, Benjamin quietly began to explain something. Hearing this, Lisa's attitude dramatically changed. The details were: my name is Alexander. I recently graduated college and just started working as an employee. While it might not seem like a glamorous aspiration, I have always dreamed of working at a company. While my peers dreamed of becoming astronauts or pilots, I was the odd one out. Still, regardless of what others thought, I admired the life of a salaried worker. This was largely due to my father. My father, Oliver, never compromised in his work and was deeply trusted within the company. Not just for his results but also for how he valued his colleagues. His attitude was attractive even to me as a child. My father taught me many important things. Particularly, he always said, "Value people and you can't achieve anything on your own." I heard these words so often they became a guide to live by. Despite his numerous accomplishments and accolades, my father never saw them as his alone. His attitude of humility and dedication to his work was always my aspiration. Father often invited his subordinates and colleagues home. It was clear from these interactions how well liked he was by everyone at the company. He not only discussed work but also listened sincerely to personal matters. He valued his co-workers not just as company assets but as individuals, which was evident even from just observing. It was no wonder that he was so admired by everyone around him. I wanted to be a salaried worker just like my father. Although it was too embarrassing to tell him directly, I genuinely felt that way. And now, having graduated from college, I've started my job. The company I joined is the same one where my father worked until his retirement. I chose it because of what I heard from him. The company culture and workplace atmosphere seem impeccable. Of course, there are many things I won't know until I actually start working. Still, I was eager to try my best in the same environment where my respected father had worked. There are still people in the company who worked with my father, and they have been very kind to me. It's clear how much my father was loved by so many. Just thinking about it fills me with joy. A senior told me, "Your father really helped me out, so don't hesitate to come to me if you need anything." It's very thankful, but I shouldn't rely on it too much. It feels like I'm taking advantage of my father's reputation and makes me somewhat uneasy. I steeled myself and threw myself into my work. I would have liked to say that relationships at work were generally good, but there was just one person who despised me. That person was Benjamin, the department manager. Benjamin seemed to resent that I was getting attention because of my father and took every opportunity to dislike me. Whenever I asked for explanations on new tasks, he would invariably scoff, "You can't even do this? Didn't you graduate college?" and laugh at me with a look of disdain. Each time, I felt frustrated, but as a newcomer, I couldn't even argue back. Benjamin, who constantly hurled sarcastic remarks, would assign me tasks without properly teaching me anything, as if it was his daily routine. No matter how much I asked, he never gave me a proper answer and continued to look down on me. "I have some questions about this task. Just figure it out and do it yourself." But even so, "Stop bothering me. You're useless and incompetent." Benjamin's outburst echoed across the floor. Seeing my frightened expression, Benjamin seemed pleased. "All you do is talk back. What kind of upbringing did your parents give you?" His sneering, ugly demeanor as he ridiculed me was nothing short of grotesque. I could have endured being criticized personally. But hearing him speak ill of my respected father was painfully hard to bear. Yet, I couldn't just explode in anger and lash out. I bit my lip and endured. I thought if I could produce results so impressive that no one could criticize them, he would have to acknowledge me. I worked hard with that belief, but Benjamin's attitude didn't change at all. If anything, it only got worse day by day. He even started hiding necessary documents in obscure places, almost driving me to a nervous breakdown. The reason I was able to continue working despite all this was because I was fortunate to have supportive colleagues and seniors. They helped me when they saw me struggling with Benjamin's harassment. Without them, my spirit would have broken long ago. I cannot forget the kindness these people have shown me. Reinvigorated, I doubled down on my efforts. As a result, I became able to handle tasks at a much faster pace compared to others. The label of being the son of a well-regarded former boss no longer mattered. I had earned everyone's respect through my own abilities. My colleagues and seniors rejoiced in my growth as if it were their own. It was just as my father taught, "You can't achieve anything on your own." If I continued to produce good results, Benjamin would have to recognize me. With certainty, I continued my daily life, but one day, out of the blue, Benjamin called me in. I hadn't made any mistakes or taken any problematic actions. Wondering what it was about, Benjamin spoke calmly. "You seem to be doing well lately." "Thank you. I have a suitable job prepared for you." A job suitable for me. Though it seemed a bit suspicious, I was interested. More than anything, I was happy to finally be recognized by Benjamin. "What kind of job is it?" I leaned in eagerly as I asked Benjamin. "I want you to be involved in a project to start up a new branch." "Starting up a branch office?" I couldn't help but raise my voice in surprise. I thought it was just another office task, so I was pretty surprised. Even without asking for details, I knew it was a significant project. The prospect of setting up a new branch was more exciting than daunting. "So, what will it be? Are you in or out?" "I want to do it. Please let me join the branch setup project." There was no time to hesitate. Even if it meant moving out of state, I was prepared for that. I had that level of resolve. That's the spirit. "You're not having second thoughts, are you?" "Of course not." Hearing my firm response, Benjamin flashed a cunning smile. That expression made me feel a bit worried. And then, in the next moment, Benjamin said something unbelievable. "Well then, do your best in Africa." What? It might have been the biggest shock of my life. Unbelievably, the location of the new branch Benjamin mentioned was Africa. Caught off guard by the overseas assignment, I couldn't hide my confusion. That's when I realized, this was Benjamin's trap. "Recently, you've been getting cocky because you've sped up your work. Are you sending me to Africa just for that?" It's a punishment for a young upstart who thinks he's something just because he can handle his job a bit. It was absurd. I wasn't getting cocky at all. I had never heard of being punished for being competent at work. The more shocked I looked, the more Benjamin's smile broadened. Ultimately, it didn't matter whether I was competent or not to him. The reason wasn't clear, but he just disliked me as a person. Thus, my trip to Africa was decided. When I told my colleagues and seniors about going to Africa, everyone was shocked. Although they knew Benjamin had a malicious character, no one imagined he would go this far. Hopefully, it would all turn out to be just a joke, but that seemed unlikely. And, although I hadn't been told the details, I had agreed to go. It would be my first time overseas, and it would be a lie to say I wasn't anxious, but I had to be resolute. It would likely be years before I could return to this workplace. Encouraged and bid tearful farewells by my colleagues and seniors, I set off for Africa. I will make the Africa branch project a success. It might seem like grasping at clouds, but I saw it as a chance. My state of mind could be described as 80% anxiety and 20% hope. In the end, I just have to do it. I murmured to myself on the plane to Africa. Years passed. After completing the branch setup project in Africa, I returned to the United States. I was to return to the head office. People had changed, and there were many new faces. One particularly notable person was a woman named Lisa, who had become a manager while I was away. As I was making my rounds greeting people at the head office, she appeared out of nowhere. "Are you the guy who was so useless he got shipped off to Africa?" Meeting me for the first time and saying such things right away. I was shocked by her insensitive remarks, but after hearing a certain piece of information about her, I somehow understood. Lisa is actually the daughter of Benjamin, the one who sent me to Africa. From what I've heard from my colleagues, she seems to have a particularly problematic personality. Taking advantage of her father's support, she behaves as she pleases, causing trouble. She hardly does her job properly, spending her day on her phone looking for men on dating apps. Her threat to employees she dislikes is, "If you defy me, you're fired. Pack your bags and leave right away." She constantly makes these selfish demands. Her reputation in the company is the absolute worst. She holds the position of manager only because of her father, and she is nothing but a nuisance. It seems the office was quite stirred up because of her while I was in Africa. Listening to these stories, I was nothing short of appalled. Nevertheless, there are familiar faces of colleagues and seniors at the workplace. They are the people who genuinely worried and supported me when I went to Africa. I went around greeting those I had previously relied on. Everyone was happy about my return. It was a heartwarming reception. Seeing the faces of my colleagues and seniors, I felt genuinely happy. As I was making my rounds, one person approached me. It was Lisa. Her expression was discontent, with a deep frown between her brows. "Hey, you. What is it? I feel like people in the office are way too submissive around you." Apparently, that was the cause of Lisa's displeasure. It shouldn't matter to her how others act towards me, but... Lisa turned to the colleagues and seniors I was talking to and said, "Are you guys stupid, sucking up to someone like him?" Then she walked back to her desk, so I thought she had returned to work. But she came back holding something. It was a plastic bottle filled with mineral water. As she unscrewed the cap, I wondered what she was about to do. Suddenly, Lisa threw the water right at me. I never imagined being doused with water on my first day back at the head office. I was completely soaked. People around were shocked and quickly fetched a towel for me. "Ugh, you look so pathetic, all wet. Why would you do something like this?" "Because I don't like you. That's all." Lisa, smirking without a hint of remorse, smiled. Her smile was just like Benjamin's, and at that moment, I felt the unmistakable link between father and daughter. "By the way, I've heard all about you from Dad." "Dad? You mean Benjamin?" "That's right. The useless, incompetent employee, right?" "I see, so that's what she had been told." It seemed she disliked the fact that an incompetent employee like me had returned and was being welcomed. "There's no place for an incompetent like you here, so you shouldn't have come back to America." Then, one person hurried over to Lisa. It was her father, Benjamin. His face was pale, and he was shaking. "Lisa, take back what you said and apologize right now." "What? Just apologize? Now? Why do I have to apologize to an incompetent employee?" Caught off guard by the demand for an apology, Lisa angrily confronted her father. With a look of anger, Benjamin responded to his daughter. "This man, Alexander, is a candidate for our next president." "What? A candidate for president? Are you kidding me? It's not April Fool's Day, is it?" Lisa was utterly astonished by Benjamin's statement. It's no wonder she was surprised. But the fact that I am a candidate for the next president was true. It was the result of successfully launching a branch in Africa. I built up achievements in a situation where I barely knew right from left, and was evaluated accordingly. Initially, I barely understood the language and often felt like giving up. However, the desire to prove Benjamin wrong and the encouragement from colleagues and seniors kept me from quitting. My hard work bore fruit, and how much I achieved was surprising. Lisa was the only one who didn't know I was a candidate for president. Even after Benjamin explained, she couldn't accept it and snapped back. "Impossible. Did you use connections or something?" "That's not the case." "But his father was your former boss, right?" As expected, it seemed Benjamin had connections with my father. For the record, I didn't use any connections whatsoever. Facing his flustered daughter, Benjamin sighed and said, "That man wouldn't use connections to hire or promote his son." Hearing Benjamin talk about my father was new and felt strange. "Alexander, I want to apologize for my past actions and my daughter's rudeness. I am truly sorry." Yes, Benjamin apologized. It was clear he wasn't just saying it superficially. It was hard to believe he was the same Benjamin who had harassed me so much. This was the moment I decided to ask something I had long wondered about. "Benjamin, there's something I've always wanted to know." "What is it? Why were you so unreasonably harsh on me?" "Well..." Benjamin seemed troubled by the question, but I still wanted to know. Such harassment without any reason seemed unlikely. Slowly, Benjamin began to speak. "As your daughter mentioned earlier, I was a subordinate under your father." I listened silently with a serious expression to what Benjamin had to say. "Your father was a wonderful person. Although he treated me well, I also felt envious." "What do you mean?" "Your father was competent and beloved by his peers. I envied that, and at the same time, it made me jealous." "Why would you feel that way?" "I thought I was making a fair effort back then." Benjamin seemed to be reminiscing about the past, biting his lip as he continued. So I couldn't understand why I couldn't be like your father. That frustration built up. And you took it out on me because I was his son? Looking back now, it was nothing but childish retaliation. Saying this, Benjamin apologized again. I'm not big-hearted enough to easily forgive the unreasonable harassment I suffered. Still, I was surprised by the change in Benjamin. I realized something after sending you to Africa. What was that? That you, like your father, succeeded because you value relationships and care about those around you. Benjamin. I'm truly sorry. This was his third apology of the day. Moved by Benjamin's words, Lisa seemed to have a change of heart. She apologized to me. I'm truly sorry. As long as you understand, that's what matters. And so, the chaotic day somehow came to a peaceful end. Later, by order of the senior management, Benjamin and Lisa were assigned to the African branch. It seems they couldn't strongly oppose it, given what they had done to me. According to rumors, despite the hardships, they are learning the importance of human relations through their interactions with the locals. Both Benjamin and Lisa have become remarkably calmer, almost like different people. They must have reflected deeply after our conflict. I hope they continue their efforts without arrogance. I look forward to seeing their growth when we meet again in America. As for me, as a candidate for the next president, I'm facing my daily work with the help of those around me. Utilizing my experience in Africa, I'm striving positively and building my achievements. All this is thanks to the teachings of my father. Wanting to express my gratitude, I invited my father out for a drink. Raising a toast, I shared the news of becoming a candidate for president. You really worked hard. It's all because I followed the lessons you taught and put in the effort. I said this, filled with deep gratitude. My father smiled slightly, looking pleased. As a father, it makes me happy and proud to hear you say that. Hearing this made me even happier. But the most important thing is that it's your own effort that paid off. You should be proud of yourself. That makes me feel a bit embarrassed. Starting to blush, I quickly downed my beer to hide it. I resolved to keep my initial resolve and continue to improve. With this determination in my heart, I toasted once again with my father.